Welcome back to Big Mouth. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Like, share and subscribe. Basically, share the channel, share the video, tell the world about me. So I decided to do a pre-recorded video because as I was going on my Twitter timeline, I found this Forbes article retweeted by Forbes journalist Mark Hughes. Warner Media, Discovery should make Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2. With Army of the Dead a big hit for Netflix, with his version of Justice League scoring critical thumbs up and strong viewership for HBO Max, and with new leadership once again about to step into the picture, it's time for Warner Media and Discovery to offer Zack Snyder a chance to complete his Justice League plan in an HBO Max exclusive. There's no point pretending there isn't an audience for it, or that it wouldn't be a significant public coup for the studio, and no reason to let pointless resentments, internal feuds, or clickbait-hungry fan sites serve as obstacles to the right business and artistic decision. A Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 could just, for one example, be made as a mini-series and divided into chapters, just like Zack Snyder's Justice League, so audiences can stream it all at once as an extra-long film, or in mini-series like chapter akin to a comic series or graphic novel collection. At $25 million per episode chapter, it would have a bigger per episode budget than the gloriously cinematic live-action Disney Plus Star Wars series The Mandalorian, and on par with Marvel's spending for the new streaming series like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If it's around 4 hours in total runtime, that's perhaps 5 episodes with 48-minute runtimes and will cost about $125 million. That's a very reasonable price for a high-quality, big-brand IP series with an existing fan base in the millions. If released in weekly chapters, it could attract more attention and weekly discussion, encourage long-term subscription by fans who might otherwise sign up for a few days and then cancel, demonstrate the idea of DC content's ability to build separate divergent corners of its multiverse, approach and continue making premium exclusive content that attracts both the built-in fan base and new converts, and it opens the door to additional content within the corner of the DCEU, such as animated spin-offs and adaptations of things such as Ben Affleck's Batman screenplay, which further expand the brand appeal and audience. It would depend on Zack and Deborah Snyder deciding they wanted to re-enter negotiations and get involved with Warner's DC brand again, which is far from a certainty. Right, can I just stop there? Mark, I've been wrong when I've argued with you before and I got blocked for it when you said after Justice League the DCEU would get rebooted. You were right. Look at what's going on with Flashpoint, right? So I was wrong, so I apologise. Not for agreeing with you, maybe I just was a bit strong in my reaction to you because I was very passionate about that situation. But to suggest that Zack Snyder wouldn't bite Warner Brothers and Discovery's hands off to be able to finish his DC universe and continue, and for Ben Affleck to, write and direct and star in his own Batman movie, I'm sorry, I can't agree with you and I can't go down on that road with you. But if a real offer was made and it was clear they could pursue their vision within budget and release plans that everyone can agree to, then I think there's a good chance the Snyders would seriously consider it. Then again, the Snyders have a lot on their plate in the immediate future. Just launched a new IP at Netflix, but that could have actually worked to everyone's advantage. The Snyders' star is shining brightly. They are developing new content that's getting great reviews and viewership, and the entire DCEU situation is again in flux with new leadership at the very top. Could reach out for a fresh start in terms of professional relationships. Right, the DCEU mark is not in flux. There's a plan there. And if it works, and let's face it, the Suicide Squad would have released by the time Discovery take over. And I also think the Batman would have released by the time just before Discovery take over as well. So if they see dollar signs flying all over the place at the DCEU, they're not going to make any changes. But of course, this could be a merger where nothing changes, and this could be a merger where everything changes. So who knows what's going to happen, right? Likewise, a few $1 million to re-edit David Ayer's Suicide Squad into a true director's cut would be more than worth it in terms of publicity and driving viewership. The fact is, DC is a major iconic global brand, and it is very much in the brand's best interest to not just put out great new content, but also consistently demonstrate a willingness and desire to improve and re-examine past content for improvement and redemption. The more and better conversations people are having around these properties, the more it works to the brand and thus the studio's advantage. I actually agree with this because, you know, the money, look, there's money to be made. And, you know, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, you know, which was deemed to be a bad movie, not by me, and it's not David Ayer's true vision, by the way, as we know. But I like that kind of put-together movie by a pop music video editing company. I mean, I can't believe I'm even hearing myself say that that's who edited the movie, but that's what happened. David was made to rewrite segments of the film and reshoot it. It's a shame. And just like the opinion of Jared Leto's Joker in that Suicide Squad movie wasn't good, but once Zack took him over on the Snyder Cut, now everybody loves him, or there's a better opinion of him in that movie. And the same could be the same. And it could be the same for the Ayer cut as well. I realise, of course, that a live-action 150 million JL sequel is a tall order for a streaming, which is why I also suggest asking Zack to make two versions of his film, a 3+ hour version for theatres and a 4+ hour version for exclusive streaming release. The theatrical version in premium theatres, IMAX and Dolby Cinema 3D screens, and so on for 2 weeks, and then release the longer miniseries version on HBO Max of whatever eventual streaming service exists after this latest merger. It's interesting because that's an ambitious thing to do, Mark. Now, I like what you're suggesting. I mean, it would be awesome. But you're asking people who clearly don't have faith in Zack, who have fallen out with him again during the development of the Snyder Cut because they were telling him not to do stuff and he was going ahead doing it, leaking information to the public so he could get his own way. Obviously, David Zaslav and Discovery are a new company, but of course they're going to look at the situation and they're going to know that the SnyderVerse can't attract a broader customer, a broader audience. But this is not supposed to attract a broader audience. But then that would ask the question, $150 million worth invested in something that can't reach a broader audience. Now, I think it was a mistake, and I'm changing my mind now because originally I really wanted the Snyder Cut to be one movie. It was a mistake not to release it in episodes. I think they would have got more views, more repeat views, more excitement as the next episode would have dropped the following week. It would have been a better take to do it. But of course, once they fell out and they didn't want to continue the SnyderVerse, and we've spoken about this before, I believe he was offered originally a place on HBO Max to restore the SnyderVerse, but there was a falling out. Of course. That's the ideal version of the scenario, but an alternative worth considering is a high-budget anime miniseries film of the sequel. You see, we're reaching again, aren't we? This is the argument this is the argument I was having with people, and I got blocked, and it upset people. I don't want to see an anime. Maybe you do, but I don't. It's pointless. This is pointless. This is cheapening the whole thing. Sequel. If live action is too expensive and time consuming for the entire production, cast and crew at this point, imagine a relatively large $3 million budget per episode, about 10 times the episode budget for Castlevania, for example, for full 1 hour episodes and a 5-hour runtime if necessary. That's just $15 million, and subsequent spin-off series like Affleck's Batman script adaptation perhaps could be priced closer to $1 million. 1 million episodes still looks fantastic, yet remain an inexpensive investment to keep the SnyderVerse, as the term relates to divergent timeline based on Snyder's version of Justice League, alive and kicking. Right, Warner Brothers, doesn't matter who this is, David Zaslav, or Warner Brothers Pictures will never greenlight anime instead of live action anyway. There's not much money to be made in it. I don't think the excitement would be there as it would be in live action. We've had this discussion before, Mark. It's simply not going to happen. But I think you're just kicking around the same ideas again. You know, you were making kind of sense with the live action kind of stuff, and I can understand your argument there. But anime, continuing the SnyderVerse in anime, no thank you. Not in my opinion. I wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't want to see that. Would the Snyders agree to that? Again, maybe depending on what happens in the short term with the merger plans and how any offer was made to them. But if they agreed, fans would finally get not only the rest of Snyder's vision, but also related projects that would otherwise have gone unseen. And it would be something for which there's no real comparison at any other studio or streamer. Let me be honest, He also talked about Affleck's The Batman going into anime fashion. No fucking way. No thank you very much. And here's a big selling point to anyone who doesn't like the sound of this because they specifically dislike Snyder's films. It can also apply to other DC multiverse content such as the original Tim Burton Batman movies, or the Nolan movies, or the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, or your favourite DC superhero TV show. The point is, in the theory, the studio streamer could mine and tie the nostalgic toy box of DC's past live action films and shows to do revivals set in that part of the multiverse. Would fans tune in for all of this? Of course they would, especially if the studios get smart enough just to instantly sign up all subscribers of HBO Cable, HBO Max, HBO Go, HBO Now, Discovery, etc. for whatever new service comes out of the merger. At the very least, all iterations of HBO should just merge and everybody who subscribed should be signed up for an account automatically, whether they used it or not, and alert them to it. Then bundle HBO and Discovery together as a set for subscribers and slowly make it clear the cable subscription version is going to be phased out over a period of however long is necessary. Now he's making sense, and I expect David Zaslav to actually do that, while doing the PR and outreach to encourage subscribers to start using their streaming accounts instead. There's already over 200 million combined subscribers to HBO on cable, HBO streaming and online accounts Discovery Plus. While obviously the streaming side subscription rate has been a struggle for Warner in several regards, they have the total audience if they can just figure out how to smartly herd them in the right direction. And the thing is, they're doing folks a favour, so this isn't just PR and a strategic for the company. It really does significantly help viewers by nudging them forward. The best iterations and options for their viewing dollars. Help them and you help yourself. For the record, I'd also host all of the CW and DC Unlimited content on the new streaming service. I think that's going to happen as well, Mark, by the way. Exclusively apart from it also airing on the CW for cable subscribers, and do a crossover event to merge it into a single shared TV streaming universe. The scenario creates a big unified DCEU of live action TV streaming content alongside the primarily live action cinematic DCU content. And then there are separate projects fleshing out their corners of the multiverse, including the SnyderVerse content. In this way, then the studio can curate the DC content into more easily identifiable categories. And I think that will make it easier for new viewers to jump in while encouraging long-term fans and viewers to partake of more content they haven't seen yet. DC is one of the greatest, longest-lived, most famous and recognisable pop culture brands in history. They have almost a century of content published monthly in dozens of titles, from which the best ideas and characters and stories can be adapted and otherwise used as inspiration for new tales. Any new media merger and resulting streaming platform needs to maximise the use of that brand and expand the development of the IP further than ever before. The payoff can and will be enormous. I've been a loud and vocal proponent of Matt Reeves making Batman movies years before he ever even took over the franchise. I cannot wait for his new rebooted incarnation of my favourite superhero in the Batman, and I am eager to see what he has in store for sequels. As well, I think it's possible for all fans to love the new content, to want more of it, and also support the idea of developing additional content outside of the primary theatrical franchises for a multiverse with room for lots more content. In that spirit, then, it's time to take seriously the idea of developing a follow-up to Zack Snyder's Justice League, even as other films and streaming plans move ahead. It's a winning idea, and I hope whoever winds up at the helm of the new Warner Media venture seriously considers the opportunity, and that is David Zaslav. That will be David Zaslav, Mark. Right. No serious person is going to continue the SnyderVerse in anime or animation. You can forget it. I mean, there's a little bit of potential there, but really, the most amount of people would want to see it in live action. It's not going to be interesting to them. People are asking questions of his Army of the Dead anime already. So, I can't support that. I can support a serious conversation about restoring the SnyderVerse because, as he said, there's an audience. It would be great for the business. People did watch the Snyder Cut. More people would have watched the Snyder Cut if it was in episodes. And I don't know what happened there, why they changed their minds, because it was already chapter-based. They just put it together as one film. You know, each episode would have had a title. We saw the chapters. had titles, but for some reason, they fell out and they decided they weren't going to restore the SnyderVerse. Then it was one movie, and that hurt the content. Now, people watched it. It was very popular. Some very, very respectable critics gave it some amazing praise. So people liked that movie, and obviously far superior to what Joss Whedon did. Joss Whedon didn't have the time to do a half-decent Justice League movie. Anyway, it was a bad decision. So I like what he says, and I like what he talks about, the expansion of HBO Max and, you know, bringing together HBO Go and all these different platforms and Discovery Plus. Just put them on one huge streaming service and market it as one thing, and, you know, uniting all the DC content from the CW on this streaming service. It's a very, very good idea. So I would love the SnyderVerse to be restored. At this moment in time, while we're still owned by AT&T, that's not going to happen. Now, I don't know what David Zaslav's going to do. Personally, although I want to see the SnyderVerse restored, it's complicated, right? So you've got Cavill doing Superman in the Central Universe. You've got Gadot doing Wonder Woman in the Central Universe. But then she's needed in Zack's Elseworld. How is that going to work? How is that going to work? How are they actually going to be an Elseworld when they are the, you know, the founding, he's the founding father and his DC characters are the founding members of the Central Universe. And I know we're getting Flashpoint and things could change, and they are going to change. And then you're asking actors to go over there, go over here. How is that going to work? There's some practicalities that, you know, would have to be ironed out, of course. And I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but, you know, these questions have to be asked. So I think it's a really good article by Mark. I'm glad I did the video and read it out. Some interesting points. The anime is a no from me. I'm not interested in continuing the SnyderVerse in anime, but I would be very interested for the SnyderVerse to be restored. But it's complicated. They've totally fallen out. And if Zaslav comes in and says, you know what, you're making money on your movies, I like your vision, you don't want to be involved with Snyder, then that's gonna be the end of that. I don't know what Zaslav is thinking. I know he's talking about Superman a lot, and he said Superman is front and center of his mind because he believes that's the one who can bring the bucks in. And so that's very interesting, and for a Superman fan, very exciting too. But what do you think? Are you bored of hearing about restore the SnyderVerse, or do you want it restored? How do you feel about it being restored in anime or animation fashion? Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back later tonight, 6 p.m. UK time, for Big Mouth Live. Until then, I'll see you again later. Bye for now.